Hi, everyone. How are you? Happy Friday and welcome to Catholic Chat. I hope you're well today. And the topic today is going to be teen mental health. Did you know in 2021, more than 4 in 10, or 42% of students felt persistently sad or hopeless, and nearly one-third 29% experienced poor mental health. In 2021, more than 1 in 5, 22% of students seriously considered attempting suicide, and 1 in 10 attempted suicide. So these statistics are from CDC's Youth Risk Behavior Survey Data Summary and Trends Report, and that covered from 2011 to 2021. And today, I'm just so pleased to introduce to you, we're going to connect with Misty Smith, and she's a high school counselor. So we're going to talk about that with Misty. So,
friend.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, I'm great to see you, and you're looking so great, and it's so bright there. I said, I don't know, I've got a light here, but it seems very dark, and it's beautiful. It's sunny outside here today.
It is. It's so pretty. Yeah. Well, it's been a minute. How are you?
I'm doing really, really good and enjoying the summer. Happy summer to you.
Hey, it's nice not to be at work every day anyway. I do come in quite a bit. Counselors probably never quite get the whole time off because like I have to send transcripts and, make visits to people and stuff and talk to scholarship committees, different things like that all summer. But it's great. I don't have to go in every day. So
yes, you get a little bit of R&R, much needed R&R, because you guys really you work so hard, and you care about the kids, you care about the teens, and that's why I wanted to just ask you to come on and talk about this important topic, because I know that obviously through the pandemic, particularly our young people were quite challenged with going to school online and, being away from their friends and just being so secluded. And of course, as we all know, what takes the place? Social media and your cell phones. I mean, we're all to a point, we can see, very addicting to be on our cell phones. But with young people, it really is, replacing so many things. So we'll get into that. We'll dive into that. But first, why don't you just take a minute and tell the viewers a little bit about yourself, Misty?
Yes, I just starting my, I think it's 21st year as in education. So, and this is my second year as a high school counselor. Technically this year, I guess I'm going to be kindergarten through 12th grade counselor, and really enjoy it. I love counseling. I've been an administrator. I have been principal a total of 8 years out of my career. Other than that, I taught junior high school science, which is really still my absolute favorite thing to do is teach science. I'm just a science geek and love it. So lots of fun.
Wonderful. So you work and you have had experience, obviously, with all age children. And when we're going to talk about mental health and the challenges that young people have today, can you address that as a counselor in high school?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Are you seeing a rise in that?
Yes, and I'll say COVID did us no favors. I feel like that the overall general mental health, and I can honestly say, I would say from 6th, 7th grade up through their 20s have actually struggled with the COVID and, the isolation that we all felt, the being home, being out of school, even the college kids. I mean, I had kids in college when COVID hit, and, instead of where we were out, we were out volunteering and going to church and doing stuff, they had to sit at home in front of a computer. And that really shortchanged our college kids, and it definitely shortchanged our elementary and high school kids. I see so much, not only in academia, being behind in math, reading, those subjects. I also see it in social skills. And I think they were so hungry to come back. And, a lot of the kids are really, really glad to come back. But they really struggled, and I felt bad for them, and their test scores and their academics have struggled, and it's evident we're still trying to pull our kids out of that.
It's a big deficit. It's even a year, but 2 or 3 years, that's very hard to kind of catch up to a pace that, maybe some other kids that, maybe they didn't feel it as much. There were some kids, maybe not the majority, but there were some that actually flourished at home.
Yes, but most of them needed the socialization. The kids, I mean, my youngest was at home, and, he was like, cool, I did all my work in 5 minutes. I'm like, and no, nice try. That isn't good for them to get their work done in 5-10 minutes and then lay around and play video games or be on social media the rest of the day. It wasn't good for me. I mean, I was going crazy sitting at home. Like, you can only do so much around your house. And, I think we all need to have that purpose. And then, even not being able to attend church, go to the gym. I mean, we couldn't do anything there for a while. And that was hard on all of us, I believe, mentally and emotionally.
It's hard to think about that now. It's almost surreal to think that was our reality for that length of time. But data shows that in early 2010, teen mental health started to decline with the increased use of cell phones. So teens that spend hours and hours each day on social media have less one-on-one in-person interaction than with friends and family. What tips can you give parents who find their teens' cell use is extreme? And we know that's very difficult because as parents, we want that communication. We give that cell phone to our children so that we can communicate with them when they're not with us. If they need a ride, if there's an emergency that comes up. So what tips though? Because it's very hard to draw that line.
It is. And I will say, my oldest is 27 and my youngest just turned 18 and he's going to be a senior. And with my older ones, it's like, social media came in and we were experiencing it too. Like with my younger one, social media was already in place. With my older ones, you didn't know what to do. I would say now we can, I would tell parents now, if you have younger kids, even young middle school, start putting limits. Put that phone at 10 o'clock, 10:30, whenever, in another room. And because, they just have access to the world, and that's not a good thing. And I believe, putting limits and healthy limits on, and it's even the same thing when we were growing up with TV watching, and all of that we need to put limits on that, and that, put them up at dinner. Teach these kids to put the phones up at dinner, at church, and get out and do things that don't require electronics. And I have also noticed that the kids become more depressed and more reclusive. I'll just use a perfect example is like, Facebook, Instagram. And they think that, someone may take 50 pictures and they post one. And everyone can be like, oh, my life's not that perfect. And I don't look that pretty on camera. And it's like, oh, that's just not real, and a lot of the younger kids, especially the younger, more impressionable ones, and girls especially, they have this ideal out there that they have to be that perfect. We're not. Life's not perfect. We're all sinners. We're all failing. Nobody's perfect. There's always somebody prettier, always somebody taller, thinner, smarter. And they just, as parents, we need to teach them that. That is our job, is to teach them that is not real, and that, God is our perfection, and that we need to help them see that reality, that the social media is not real.
Love that. But yes, as a young person, they're looking to their peers, as examples, or looking to the culture, the pop culture of today as examples. It's happened with every generation too. This is nothing unusual. It's just that I think the consumption, as you mentioned, television was at one point, you could overdo that. But I think one of the things that I know, and this can be teens and adults too, everybody seems so tired. Why are you tired? You're tired. You stayed up too late. Were you on social media? And this is a big, I think, attraction connection, you know, it glues you in. And like you said, those boundaries for parents to say, it's time, when you go in your room for the evening, the phone has to stay here, because next thing they know, it's 2-3 hours later, it's midnight, it's 1 o'clock, they still have to get up at the same time. But sleep deprivation, of course, as we know, leads itself to just those feelings of depression. And when you're sleep deprived, as you know, as a counselor, it can really unravel a lot of other things.
That putting up all devices. I mean, and my husband and I can be kind of bad about that because we read the Laudate, the Catholic, our Bible studies, and I'm a huge saints. I love to study the saints. I read Saints of the Day, which is about 20 of them every day, and stuff like that. And even then, there's times where I'm like, yeah, I'm putting up my electronic, and I'm gonna get a real paper and pencil book, like just get out a book and just read that. Bible is not electronic Bible, but there's something to be said by, reading a book and getting away from even that screen staring at you. There's something, because it's really tempting to go from the book to scroll over to, Facebook or TikTok or something and get away from that. And the next thing you know, you've wasted an hour doing something very unproductive.
It's true. I mean, I have to confess, I've done that too, Misty. I've done that too, where I have a good intention. I have my book, I bring it to my bedside, and a lot of times I have an extra older phone that I use actually as a light. And so I use that to read. But sometimes I'm catching up on the news and things like that. And then I'm so sleepy, I just can't keep my eyes open to actually read the book that I intended on.
There's computer fatigue. I have some blue light glasses, and I believe we get that. We get that, that fatigue from looking at a screen. And if the kids are up, 7 or 8 hours from when they get home from school until the next morning, throughout the day, early in the morning, looking at a computer, you get to school, they don't want to look and have their eyes focus on anything. So they're already fatigued, and then, oh my goodness, the bullying. I mean, we have a very mean society that, you're Generation X like me, we fought in person, not on the internet. They can fight on the internet. People can say nasty things. Probably every single one of my kids has been bullied on some level by, whether it is someone sending them hateful texts or Snapchat or something. And these kids, they take that very seriously. And that is so detrimental to, we're all fragile, and especially in the teen years, we're all impressionable. And for some random stranger, which, I mean, in person, we could care less if a random stranger says something to us, but this person gets on your social media, in your social media world, and they start saying something ugly about you or starting rumors about you. I mean, I bet you, of my mentoring part of the school, I bet you about 40% of my year is diffusing online problems with someone said something at home, or someone said something in a group chat, and here it is at school, and I'm always having to put it back in perspective for the kids and tell the kids, let's keep this in perspective. Let's worry about school. This is not bad. And then of course, if it gets obviously threatening, that's a different level. But, people just insult each other and be hateful, and that is not good. And it's not right.
Well, it's easy to do, isn't it? Because it's, they're anonymous. And it's so quick to type something negative and send it out. And we never know where that person's base of attitude comes from. But it's very, like you said, it could be very, very hurtful, especially for the young people who are wanting that. And they're thinking that they can get that approval from social media, from those followers out there. So a recent study showed an increase in pessimism in teens. Why do you think we're seeing such a negative attitude from our teens? A negative frame of mind.
I've been thinking about that question this afternoon. That's a hard one, because I feel like a lot of our world is pessimistic anyway. And again, since COVID, it got worse. I think, again, for our youth and our teens and even our college kids, we see, and I've been guilty of negative self-talk and talking to myself, and then someone else says something to me, and, when I was at 16, that would have been like, oh, they're right, I'm terrible, and I think that the world, we don't, and I notice even as adults, we don't compliment each other sincerely. And I think parents that needs to start at home. You need, like, tell your kids and teachers in the classroom, pay sincere compliments, real ones, about the human, not necessarily even their looks, about the human, and start building from the inside out. Because, if everything's based on some superficial negativity, that doesn't define them. And I do think that I work intensively with the anti-bullying campaign and talking about, social media safety and stuff like that, to be positive, quit being negative. The world's hard enough as it is. Life is hard, and we do not need to be negative to make it harder. Life is hard on its own. Life is hard if you surround yourself with good people. It's really hard when you look out and you see, the negative comments that the world makes, and especially if you believe those things, and those are unhappy people spreading unhappiness to other people.
We know not every teen would have a very supportive family. There are some broken families. There are some people that are parents that are hurting themselves, and so it's difficult for those students that are looking for acceptance somewhere, and and thank goodness there are wonderful counselors like yourself and teachers also that would notice those changes of behavior. And that's another question that I wanted to address. What are some of the red flags for parents out there?
There are some that parents need to watch for. And I would say that, for one, if they can't put their phone down, if you ask them to put their phone away for dinner and all of a sudden they throw a fit, if they are, dreading going to school all of a sudden, if they are dreading, being around friends, if they become withdrawn, or if all they want to do is be social, something's up. And any drastic behavior, if they're dressing differently, if, for girls, they're suddenly very moody and become withdrawn. They lose interest in things that have been interesting to them. And I'm talking, these are like sudden changes. Obviously, teenagers can change their mind a lot, but these sudden changes, especially the withdrawing, the angry, suddenly angry at your parents, suddenly angry at the world, something's up. And get up in your kids' business. My kids will notice that I get up in their business. I don't apologize for it, because we are their first line of defense. That is our job, is to defend, protect our kids. And if the parents can't do it, the next step is usually the school. And, obviously in some of the schools, you can build great relationships with your counselors and your teachers and stuff. But those parents need to be watchful. Again, this to me, I've been a single parent. I don't say, well, a single parent, they can't do it. No, as a single parent, I was very vigilant as watching any changes in behavior with my kids and being on if there was, getting to the bottom of what might be going on, because chances are it's social. It's some sort of social something, whether it's in person at school or whether it's possibly online. Those are the things they need to watch for. Sudden drastic changes in the behavior.
And that is difficult. We know our lives can be busy. Their children are involved in a lot of different things, or off with their friends. So there has to be at least one time, hopefully at meal time or breakfast time, where you can connect, that you can look each other in the eye and just ask, how you doing, what's happening, simple questions, just to keep current.
And parents need to show up. They need to show up to their activities. They need to be, being there as much as they can. And, it's not always possible, but show up as much as you physically can. You got a one-time shot at parenting. You got a one-time shot. You have X number of years and they're out the door. And, then you look back and you hope that you did the best you could. But, take that time every single day to do something together as a family, even if it's sitting down for 20 minutes and talking about the days. They may not want to talk. Oh, well, that's fine. You're still going to sit here and you're, and to parents, I tell parents, set the example, put your own phone down, put it down, be in the moment, take time to go on family dates and, like go out to dinner and go do things and spend that time with your kids, spend that non-judgmental time with your kids and see what's going on, go on to their level. And that will carry them for years, to support them and to be up in their business, know who their friends are. I've always been cautious about letting my kids go anywhere, but everyone's welcome, because when they're at my house, I know what's going on, and you see that. And then all of a sudden, if they're changing friends and they're suddenly, very drastic changes to their crowd and their activity, something's up.
Because it's a time they're trying to find themselves. They're seeking independence from you. And, so it is like a balancing act. But you're right. If you really stay open, communication line open, so when that window of opportunity comes, they feel comfortable in just sharing whatever it is. It can be a little thing, or it could be, something that's really troubling them and on their mind. So those are positive things. And I wanted to end this discussion on a positive note. So what would you say, Misty, to everybody that's joined us today, to leave them encouraging words about our teens today?
Oh, they're so much more well-rounded than we were. I mean, I can speak for myself. when I graduated high school, they know so much more. I still have to call my adult son to come figure out my, TV at times. And, they know so much more. It comes second nature to them. The technology has such good qualities. And, they are such a neat kid. And they survived COVID. I know growing up, we didn't have a pandemic. And so that made them more resilient. And I think that's one of the things, we have to tap into their good talents. But we also, the biggest thing I can say is, give them a Christian home, give them as much love and support as you can, and, help them find their positives.
It's been so wonderful to see you again. Everybody out there, if you'd like to hear Misty's conversion story, I'm going to link below the video that we did together, and she shared that. It was an incredible conversion miracle story, so you'll want to tune in for that. So thank you so much for your time. God bless, and have a wonderful summer.
Yes, you'll have to give me a call soon.
I'll do that. You take care. Thanks so much. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.